Welcome back to the Food on Demand podcast, where we dish up insights on the future of restaurants relating to off-premises operations and the overall digital dining experience. I'm Bernadette Heyer, Managing Editor.
And I am Adam Wahlberg, Associate Editor. Food on Demand is your exclusive media source here to help restaurant operators meet the digital guests where they are.
Yes, and as always, be sure to check out our weekly newsletter as well as some programs we have coming up in a few weeks, including Cater Week. So check out our website. There's some webinars we'll have put together for operators to learn how to scale and be successful with your catering. But first, before we get into our interview today with Angela Diffly, we will start off with our newsy items once again. Adam, take it away.
Yes, Bernadette, thank you. I recently had a pretty fun interview with a guy from GoPuff, because I've been interested in GoPuff for a while because they have this pledge to deliver stuff in 15 minutes or less. And I've been following just kind of this trend about instant delivery around the globe. In like some countries like India, they have certain companies, one's called Blankets, where they offer to deliver, and these sometimes are small items like just a can of soda. And it can only really happen in super dense areas, but in like India, they say they'll do in 10 minutes or less. So, I mean, we all know what delivery speed is, kind of the whole ball game. So I think we're going to be seeing promises of faster, faster, faster all over the place. But I've been interested in what GoPuff has been doing. They've been recently announcing pretty interesting collaborations with a number of brands. One was with Amazon, and the most recent one was with Disney and their streaming platforms. And the scenario the guy at GoPuff described for me is like, say you're a college football fan and you're watching College Game Day on ESPN and you're streaming it because that's a Disney property. How it will work is like a college football fan will be streaming football and there'll be an ad that'll pop up for GoPuff with a QR code. So a college fan can just get their phone out and scan the code and tap, tap, tap. And really in like 15 minutes, they can have like Pringles delivered to their door. They'll be all set for the second half. They can order these snacks. And I'm like, well, that sounds pretty nifty. So it's, a pretty smart seeming collaboration for GoPuff. And they are, again, they're bringing their instant delivery proposition to a lot of areas. And I'll be really interested in how this works. So they calling it a virtual concession stand. And it's not just ESPN, it's the other Disney properties, where it's an ad and a QR code. So I'm like, well, awfully innovative, and I can see where that would be appealing. So I'm going to keep an eye on GoPuff and instant delivery, and be fun to keep covering because it's it seems like these partnerships are being announced pretty regularly. So yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, I'm glad you highlighted GoPuff. Very popular with younger generations who, order smaller batches, like you said, snacks. And in dense areas like New York City, I think also with the grocery delivery and rapid delivery, 15-minute or under promise that we see in other countries also works well with those dense areas that have like bike couriers and things like that, opposed to cars. And I think about what is kind of relating to my newsy item is as we see the adoption of drones or robots that don't need to be in these cars or stuck in traffic, how fast is delivery going to be one day within minutes and so forth? So speaking of that, my newsy item is another big restaurant group has now began offering drone delivery. So we keep seeing those partnerships pop up. This time it's with Go-To Foods through DoorDash, powered by Wing. And it's taking off in 3 Texas cities, Frisco, Fort Worth, and Plano. So brands like Auntie Annie's Pretzels or McAllister's Deli could come from the sky if that's within a 4-mile delivery zone with who's ordering it. Now, a lot of Go-To Foods are mall staples, so it's kind of interesting to see from food court line to sky-high delivery, like very interesting. And I also am following how the regulations from the FAA keep unfolding when it comes to the adoption of drones. There was a new proposed rule, so it's not live yet, Part 108, that's trying to create a more standardized framework for BVLOS flights, which is beyond visual line of sight, and also kind of getting away from each kind of drone company or restaurant collaboration needing individual waivers. So essentially, just trying to make some more overall regulations for the entire US to make drone delivery more scalable, but also regulated. And so that's very interesting to follow, given that's continuing to unfold. And for restaurants, as we just said, drone delivery could mean faster, cheaper delivery, some more partnership opportunities. And with this proposed new rule, a green light to expand into drone ready zones. So working on an article about that. You can check out Food on Demand. And as always, we will follow drone delivery.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been loving your coverage on all the moving parts with drone delivery. I think we're fascinating to think where it's all heading in the next 2, 3 years with drones in the skies. But as you've been covering so carefully, yeah, it takes some regulatory movement, and different cities will have to authorize different policies, and it's great. So I'm always excited to read your coverage. You keep us current on all things drone.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just not restaurants, as we know. Package delivery from anything from medicine to something coming from Walmart is also expanding. So, yes, we will keep an eye on it. And now we'll get into our guest interview. All right, we now have our guest interview today. I'm very excited to welcome Angela Diffly. She is the director of restaurant digital and technology capabilities for Coca-Cola, and definitely a big leader in the tech space, a thought leader, someone I followed for a while. So, really excited to have you on.
Thank you, Bernadette. It's great to be here.
Wonderful. So we have a lot of fun things to dive in, especially with your current role at Coca-Cola and a lot of fun things happening on the restaurant side. But to start off, Angela, I would love to hear what got you first into the restaurant technology space in general, or what interested you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think it's just that I've always been super curious about technology, and there's no better time to be in it than now. Things are moving at such a lightning rapid pace that it's exciting, and there's never a dull moment. I like big ideas, and so technology has all of that wrapped up in it right now. It's moving so quickly right now that it's almost like you wake up and there's something completely new to look at. And as far as restaurants, I've always leaned into naturally to retail, e-commerce, and restaurant tech, just as the way consumers interact and bring to life what they desire in the palm of their hand. Like, how do you get what you want from all of these brands at home, which was really kind of fueled by COVID, but I literally have just been following this space, especially restaurant tech, ever since I kind of came onto the scene a few years ago. I started the Restaurant Technology Network, as you know, and it's sort of the natural flow from there was as joining a big organization like Coke to see, how I can bring that skill and knowledge to a bigger brand and do bolder things, perhaps. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that translates in my new role.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely what I see as well, it's ever changing with technology coming to the
Yeah.
space. And even my conversation a few years ago was so different than it is today, especially with AI and everything going on.
Yeah.
So, love to hear about growing the restaurant technology networks first. That's something that, I followed very closely and learned a lot from. Can you kind of tell me about that?
Well, I think the greatest thing about that community is that it's just a community of people who really altruistically want to collaborate to make the industry better at large. So, Abby Lorden, who is the VP over there, she and I kind of co-founded it together and grew it from zero to I think 600 restaurants, brands, and around 90 technology companies. I'm not sure what the numbers are today. I've been removed from it for almost a year now, which is hard to believe, but still a champion for that cause. The Coca-Cola company joined the Restaurant Technology Network, which was kind of a full circle moment for me. Still believe in supporting that organization and believe it's a great place for folks to collaborate, share ideas, and collectively help solve challenges together that perhaps maybe one or two companies on their own would seem more challenging and a bigger hill to climb. So it's nice that everyone gathers together to sort of put their brain trust in a space and place to move the needle when it comes to getting innovation, sparking innovation quicker in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get into your current role at Coca-Cola Tech Innovation. But before we do that, Following restaurant tech for so long, what are some key trends you're seeing right now, or where do you kind of see tech evolving the next few years?
Well, especially if it relates to your space. When I think of food on demand and I think of how things are changing, I am so interested by the blurring of lines, like instead of just getting my dinner delivered, I want my dinner, I want my cereal for the grocery store for tomorrow morning. And I also want, oh, by the way, can you pick me up a phone charger or, something else I need for my household. So I find that delivery on demand and particularly last mile delivery interesting, not only for restaurants, but how the lines are blurring and how restaurants are showing up in spaces in places like C-stores and grocery, and then how that translates to like the fabric of the digital ordering experience. So that's really cool to follow. I also love, I've really always have been bullish on robotics and autonomous delivery. And I'm really enjoying following the news. Like Walmart just announced, I think it was 150,000 airborne drops, and they're adding more cities. And then, all the stuff with like, we were just talking about Coco Robotics, and they're in White Castle Uber Eats deal. And I know Sir has something with Uber Eats as well. They're delivering all over. It's a little autonomous robots and drones and the different ways that we're using not only technology in the palm of our hand, but also in the skies and on the sidewalk, right? To get us what we need when we need it. DoorDash and Wing just announced a deal with Go-To Foods. And I'm just imagining like my Annie Ann, pretzel being delivered by drone to my front door. And I just think it's really fun to watch the trends and see what's going on, especially in the delivery space. And then obviously how that translates to the customer experience when you're ordering it. How does that look on your phone? How does that evolve as all these lines are blurred?
Yeah, it's something I follow closely and very fascinated with and keeps ramping up. And it seems a new restaurant group is partnering or testing drone delivery or sidewalk robotic delivery. Almost every month is someone new.
I know.
But yes, Go-To Foods, I just covered that. And yeah, it's fun to keep an eye on. So moving over to Coca-Cola, Angela, I would love to hear about, how Coca-Cola fits into the tech and data conversation. I don't know if everyone always realizes that there's so much opportunity when you think about the beverage space. Can you dive into that?
Sure. I mean, our aspiration is to really partner with restaurants on their full business, to grow their full business, not just their beverage business. But obviously, when we look, just a real tangible example, when we look at beverages being a really high margin item on menus, and then we look at menu optimization and the way things appear on the menus, we're seeing a big gap in the way that consumers have access to and order either in the drive-through and in the store or via kiosk or in the restaurant at the counter compared to that drop off when it goes to digital. Like when you're digitally ordering, there's quite a bit of drop off in beverage attachment, and we're seeing that happen as well as we're seeing the trend digital skyrocketing, right? The amount of digital orders has gotten to be, crazy. I think, when we think about somebody like, the announcements from Yum and like the big players that are doing up to 70% digital, in some cases, it's just astounding to think that your menus are not right foundationally to maximize those profit in an increasingly digital world. So when you think about what we're trying to do tangibly, it's really partner with strategic partners that can help. We can help inform, co-architect, drive insights and education around how to best maximize your profits of your menu overall in the digital space, but also just make sure those beverages are present and just visible so that people can see when they're ordering. Like we know that combos and bundles and, smart recommendation engine upsells and things like that really can really influence consumer decisions and also hugely affect the bottom line and the profitability of restaurant customers. So we're working to try to help the industry kind of get to that space to where it's table stakes and it's just something like, already built into the framework of the architecture of their digital platforms.
Right. Yeah. And, you mentioned, the importance of adding on beverages. And I think about delivery, and often that's kind of overlooked, but that is a big upsell.
Mhm.
And then, of course, like you mentioned, if you're even offering your beverages, let's say
Yeah.
on your app or your digital ecosystem, anything you want to add onto that, the role of third party delivery partners or just things like that when it comes to getting beverages in the hands of these digital guests.
Yeah. I mean, we partner really closely with Uber Eats and DoorDash. We do tons of promotions and customized programs to prove out the point that when you bundle and when you offer upsells, and or when you just have your full assortment of beverages on the menu, it really makes a huge difference. We've seen that profitability go way up with really even just short-lived, like 2-week promotional experiments with the large brand. So we're excited to sort of dive deeper into those partnerships as we go along. We've always had a strong partnership with those two players in particular in the third-party delivery space. And then on the technology side, for our first party, we really partnering closely with Olo and Toast. Olo, obviously, for the enterprise clients, and Toast for the more the SMB scalability. So we're looking to really help inform not only like just their menus and pour resources, time, and experts into like optimization and what works best and what's the magic formula for our customers, but also, help inform platforms and help partner with these strategic technology companies to drive more profitability overall, right? Irrespective of Coca-Cola beverages, right? Just how do we put our time and resources and insights towards co-developing something that makes sense for the industry? And more and more of that is an AI, functionality and solution. But we are open to talking with all kinds of technology partners. I'm looking forward to going to FS Tech in Orlando coming up just to see what else is possible. Because I think, Coca-Cola has made some really deep investments in building out their digital teams to sort of unlock these equations for restaurant partners. And so we want to really dedicate time and resources to the art of discovery. What's possible? Where should we be investing? And we're looking at really strategic technology partners to give us guidance and maybe come along with us and to help us sort of double down where it makes sense for our restaurant partners.
Right. And that obviously ties into, digital marketing tactics. And I know that there's a lot, that in that area that can be tapped as well for operators.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that it all ties in, right? The digital storytelling experience, it's more than just, optimizing your menu. It's everywhere you touch the customer digitally. And I think more and more restaurants are looking for like 360 view of the customer. Like, where does this person shop when they're not coming to my restaurant? Where else are they? What else are they interested in? So there's this whole, I think, AI unlock that will soon be available, not only to blur the lines between all the places you can order from in one route, right? And also all of the ways in which those worlds might collide. Like, will there be some kind of open API interface that locks all of these channels together on your phone so that it's like a one-stop shop for your preferred source? Like, I'm a huge McDonald's or Chick-fil-A fan, and then I also shop at CVS to pick up my prescription. And then I also want you to stop by Publix and grab by this or that. And then you could maybe link those things together. I'm just thinking like future applications and the marketing dollars it can unlock for advertising to that particular customer, if you know that well, is what I think is exciting for digital marketers in the future.
Yeah, definitely an exciting time. A lot of companies are trying to build or thinking about what's the next super app and things like that. So definitely something I'm following and excited to
Yeah.
unveil.
And maybe it's not even an app, or that maybe like, who knows what it is? Maybe it's not an app. I mean,
Right.
eventually maybe we don't have phones in the palm of our hand. We have a chip or something, and we just think about something, and it just an agentic AI superpower, a super intelligent solution fills in the gas for us and delivers things for us and makes flight reservations for us and plans our whole trip. And there's just we can't even fathom what's coming. That's why at the start of the call, I was just like, no matter what industry you're in, technology is going to be, it is already and will be a bigger part of that industry
Right.
if you move
Yeah,
forward.
I follow, the adoption of AI chatbots, and I see the future where it's you say something, talk to something, and it does everything for you, which kind of already is here, but we'll see how that all continues to combine.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it? And we're just in this one industry that, we experienced just astronomical transformational change during COVID because it was table stakes survival. We had to survive, right? In
Right.
the restaurant space. And now, as you know, delivery is not going anywhere. I mean, I remember coming to Food on Demand when it was just like your very first show. And it was just like some interesting vendors, but it was small and now it's like exploded. It's like huge, and which is so exciting. And congratulations on that growth. But that just shows you the industry is leaning in so heavily because it's just table stakes to get it right, you know?
Absolutely. Even since I started about 3 years ago, the conversation has shifted from, right after the pandemic, how do we do delivery? And we all need to be on it. And now it's how do we, attract and retain the digital guests? What tech do we need? And, because it's such a different world now with the omni-channel reality. So yeah, absolutely. Definitely exciting times. You mentioned heading to FS Tech. I'll be there as well. So hopefully I'll see you.
Good.
And that makes me think of, trade shows. And I know that you guys had a very impressive booth at NRA. I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
touch on any of that, but there was some exciting technology displayed.
Yeah, I was my baby at the event was our Gen Z avatar.
Mm,
And we programmed her with all of the insights for Gen Z and also with restaurant trends and digital trends and menu trends and what that generation is really looking for when it comes to loyalty. Like how are they're fickle, right? They're fickle or they're elusive and they're the most coveted cohort, right? Everyone wants that demographic. So we instead of just bringing our insights to the event, we brought her. We brought an avatar, like a virtual representation of that entire generation, and loaded her with insights and just informative and fun, cheeky, sometimes like playful anecdotes. She took a lot of selfies and she had a lot of fun conversations. She drank a lot of the cherry coke, and that was her favorite. And so it was a lot of fun. So to me, that was like a standout, really fun experience. But we also, of course, had all of our insights around menu optimization and some of the ways we're supporting the restaurant industry through partnerships like Toastanola. We had them on stage with us. And then we also had a breakout session where we dove into a mobile app loyalty study with Ipsos and NRN. And that was really interesting because Whataburger was on stage with Josh Gurley from Coca-Cola. And I remember the quote from the Whataburger executive very clearly. He said, "Digital is not a side hustle." And that stuck with me because this whole conversation that we're having now is just so true that you've got to get your app and your loyalty right. And frankly, your delivery game and your online ordering needs to be really, really on point so that guests have a great experience and continue to order from you. There's so much choice out there. We know that from looking at a marketplace app, right? So it's table stakes to get it right. And it's table stakes to squeeze every dollar you can out of every order that you can for restaurants today.
yeah, absolutely. But we touched on a lot of fun things at Coca-Cola. Anything else we didn't mention that you're looking forward to, that you guys are building, or just in general you wanted to mention?
I think that for me, I'm not even a year into this role. So what I'm looking forward to is just the art of the possible as we continue along this trajectory. There are a lot of possibilities. There will be some exciting news coming out soon in the coming months with different strategic partners and different things that we're doing. But I think just to let everyone know, we're in this with restaurants. We have so many restaurant partners in North America that we want to help grow their business, right? Not just their beverage business, but really this the full picture of their business. And however we can lay in and do that with our resources and then talent and the technology and just basically the market share that we have, like the insights that we have. We want to help do that with our restaurant partners. So no idea is too crazy for me to entertain. I always want to hear from our restaurant partners and the technology players in the space that are doing cool things. And I hope that they'll start to think as we do more of these interviews and as we show up more in the industry, I think a little bit more in the past year than we have, then I would really love to hear from folks and hear ideas around how beverages can help fuel profitability for restaurants. So we're certainly open. And what excites me is just the possibility of what's to come. And we're just scratching the surface. We're just getting started. And what impresses me is the Coca-Cola is super dedicated to helping restaurants be successful. And I think that's a common thread. And when I was at my former role at RTN, that was just the common thread, right? The industry, we want everybody to be successful. So we're going to use technology to get there. And we're looking at all kinds of technologies. So I'm open to exploration in the future.
I love it. I love it so much. And thank you so much, Angela. I know that was kind of short and sweet, but before I let you go, I do like to wrap up with a few fun questions just to get to know you kind of outside of your role, if that's all right.
Sure. Now, these were not on the list.
They were not on the list. No, they were.
That's okay.
So, we talked earlier about what got you into restaurant tech. If you weren't working in tech and restaurants, what's a different, area you might have gotten into or you see yourself loving?
Wow, that's a big one. I'm curious about tech. So, but if you're saying if I weren't in tech at all,
Well, you know what? Take it whatever you like to say.
maybe I would have been an entrepreneur and developed some kind of technology. I'm curious about the way things work, and I always want things to be elevated. So I think I would have maybe, I mean, if I look at the companies out there and I think which company do I wish I would have started, then it's probably like a computer vision solution or something. I've seen some really cool things lately, but computer vision is really interesting paired with some type of, I also like AI in the palm of your hand kind of thing, like how AI is informing everybody like on the fly to make better decisions and maybe actually executing on those decisions. So I think I would have wanted to be an entrepreneur in the space and do something like that. And I think there's so I mean, never know. We may come up with
Definitely.
something.
Our next
You
interview
know,
might be about your latest.
no, who knows? I
Coca-Cola.
mean, Coca-Cola is always looking for innovative technologies like that too. So it's very feasible to create something alongside different partners in the space. I think now is the best time ever to be an entrepreneur in this space. So maybe I would have leaned in a little bit to that.
I love it. So, what would you say? I know you're very busy, but what would you say is something you love to do during your free time? A hobby or what you like to do to calm down or escape?
I would say beach. I mean, I'm a beach person. I love the warm weather. I love the beach. I live near the beach. I'm lucky that I work remotely and I can go to the beach on the weekends. And I love nature, so I'm always out in nature. Hiking with my dog. I have a little dog, and well, she's not that little. She's getting a little weight these days. Getting too many treats. But yeah, I love being in nature and just being in the ocean. And also, one of my passions, obviously, is just traveling. Like I love going abroad. I love experiencing different cultures and diversity and not knowing what's around the corner. Similarly to like how I am fascinated and curious about tech, I'm certainly that way about other cultures and their experience too.
Amazing. Well, last question for you, Angela. What's one current piece of tech you cannot live without?
Well, gosh, it has to be our phones, right? But I love
Right.
ChatGPT-5. I love ChatGPT-5. I'm using it more and more. I'm trying to find creative uses for it. I'm trying to be agentic in my thinking with it.
Mhm.
But it's a work in progress as far as discovering what it can unlock. I think everybody would say their phone, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, it's like we're glued to our phones, that it has everything in there. I'm so interested in what's going to replace the phone. The virtual reality headsets and stuff, I just don't know if those were right timing. And I just envision, I saw something the other day about a contact lens or something that could go over your iris.
Wow.
And I think that's really interesting. I also follow a lot of like AI and I just follow a lot of what's going on in China because they are so far ahead of us as far as like computer vision. They don't have any like real regulations around privacy and the things that we're so afraid about with governance, with human freedoms. They're a little bit farther along just because they don't have as much of that. So it's really fascinating to see how they don't, that they just carry their phone. They don't have a wallet. And more I'm going out without my wallet. I don't know about you, but it's like if I have my phone, I feel like I'm good. And it's a false sense of security there.
Yes. I'm the same way. I'm
Um,
like, I know I can use my phone, but but one day
yeah,
you'll just do it all off your phone or maybe the palm of your hand.
exactly. The palm of your hand, like Amazon did with Panera, I think a while
Yep.
back.
And
And
payments.
then you
Yeah.
think about like Portillo's is doing digital wallet, appless, like a loyalty appless thing. And I just think that those things are innovative. I appreciate companies that are on the cutting edge and doing things that in advance of everyone else. And I'm ready to replace this clunky thing. I don't know
It's
about you,
heavy.
but it's like, oh, there she is. I don't know you, but it's like I'm kind of ready to ditch the phone and do something different. But I know that that's just the time will tell what that looks like.
Absolutely. Definitely something I'm excited to see and looking forward to our next conversation and what else is out there. But thank you
Yes.
so much, Angela. This was such a fun conversation. I learned a lot. I look forward to seeing you again in person and keeping up to date with what's new at Coca-Cola.
Thanks, Bernadette. I sure will. And maybe I'll see you in Orlando, if not before. So thanks so much for the time today.